Welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I'll be covering every studio song the band has recorded and every bonus track that I can find. Each week we'll go over a new song from the beginning to where they are currently, and as they keep adding albums, I'll keep adding shows. Let the deep dive party begin.
In the magic garden, some were singing, some were dancing.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Haskin, and I am bringing you a fan-based podcast endorsed by Uriah Heep. And what a good time it is. We're talking today about Love Machine, the final proper track on Look at Yourself. And what a way to end an album, let me tell you. There are two more songs that we're going to cover over the rest of the week. And those are bonus tracks that did not make it to the album. But they are worth checking out and diving into, and we will. But first, we're here to bring you Love Machine. And this is just another great rocker. You know, this album kicked off strong. It ends strong. And, and then we hit some turbulent times in the band where we're going to have another lineup change. This next lineup will sustain for a little bit longer. But it's weird because because Demons and Wizards was such a popular album that people often say that was the classic lineup of Uriah Heep. Now, I guess I can understand that because they're probably the most familiar albums of the catalog, of the back catalog anyway. And but so many people love Look at Yourself. So many people love Salisbury. Those had slightly two separate lineups, just the difference of a drummer. But it's so strange the way that we look back at things, and I tend really not to get into that kind of stuff too much. I just take it for what it is and enjoy it. I don't necessarily say I like this version of the band over that version of the band, because I think every version of the band has something to offer. There's been real big controversies when, say a lead guitar player or a vocalist changes out, because those are, with most bands, those are the two major identities in the rock and roll world, at least, is the vocalist and the guitar player. Not every rock band has a keyboard player, so they aren't always as featured, although I will say in Uriah Heep, certainly the keyboards are as much of a part as the music as the guitar is. But in general, that's not the case. And then when drummers and bass players switch out, people are like, oh, yeah, this guy was good. I like this guy. And they tend to be a little less, they personalize it less for some reason. But if a guitar player leaves a band or a vocalist leaves a band, it's like, man, this isn't the same band. I don't know why they're going on with the same name. You know what? It is mostly the same band. People are going to change things over. It's a family, but it's not a family where you're stuck together with people just because you share the same DNA. This is a family of people that want to work together and be together and spend their time on the road and on stage together. And, things happen. Sometimes people get different offers. Sometimes, people are like, I don't know that I like the direction the band is heading, so I'm going to go off in a different direction because this is great and I love it, but it's not what I want anymore. Or, some people just are like, I can't handle life on the road. That's a lot of commitment. When you really think about it, not only are you away from your home, from your friends, from your family, but you're just stuck somewhere. You can't just say, you know what, I'm going to clean the house, or I'm going to build that window display I've always wanted to do, or anything like that. You're not home and you're just in hotels. Maybe you go venture out into the city a little bit, but you have to be careful because people might recognize you. You might get caught up in things and might not make it back to the venue on time. I mean, there's so many things that could happen. So, you want to at least learn a little bit about the places while you're there. But for the most part, you've got about 20 hours or so of downtime. I mean, you're going to sleep. You've got interviews you're going to do. But there's so much time where you're not working and you really can only do so much. I mean, maybe you'll be doing some writing, but you need to do other things. And it's a real commitment. So that is not a life that everyone wants. They might love playing. They might love playing live. They might love being in front of an audience, working with guys that are working together to create wonderful music that everyone enjoys. But that doesn't mean that the road life is enough to, that the good things are enough to compensate for what you have to deal with being on the road. For other people, they don't want to be at home. They want to be on the road and touring and playing 5, 6, sometimes 7 nights a week. It all depends on the person. But when you have personnel changes in the band, sometimes it's like, I'm around you guys too much. I can't stand being around you anymore. I love you, but I need my own space. I'm going to do something different. Sometimes it's, I just can't handle being away from home. I've just had a baby. I need to, spend some time with my family and nurture there. There's all kinds of reasons. So bands change members. It would be silly from a marketing standpoint for any band to change their name. And with, the success that you've built up, why would you want to say, you know what, let's just scrap it because Jim left. So let's just scrap the whole thing and we'll just start over. Yeah, we'll play a couple of those songs, but let's just start over with a whole new identity, try and break through again when we've already broken through and developed a name. We have a fan base. Most of those people probably follow us, right? No, of course you're not going to do that. You're going to keep the name of the band. You're going to play the songs that people want to hear from that band. You're just going to change out a member here and there. It's going to happen. And, I would rather have the band keep going. As long as I'm enjoying the writing, I would rather have the band keep going than try to do something different just because one person left, even if it is somebody who's fairly identifiable. Now, I would say if Mick Box left Uriah Heep, I don't know that I would want it to continue because he's the only the remaining founder member. So once you get past that point, that's where it gets a little bit questionable for me. Certainly the other guys in the band have been in the band long enough to have the right to carry on the name, is, aside from all the legal stuff. I mean, just talking about, the investment that they've made, it wouldn't be nice for them if Mick decided to, do something else, and then the rest of the guys would be stuck with something that they've invested in, for 30 years. So I don't, that's the kind of stuff that it really does get difficult when it comes into bands' decisions. But the fact of the matter is, you're going to have splits. The band's going to go on as it should, and it's going to develop the way it develops. The new people will put their input, put their stamp on it, and their effect on the band's overall sound, their writing, what you get in the studio, what you get live, and that's good. It keeps it fresh too, because if everybody just played the same way, then you wouldn't care who you were seeing. You wouldn't care that this particular band put out a new album. It would just be, oh, there is a new album out by a group of people that sound like 10 other groups of people I just heard. We go through those periods and they get a little stale after a while. So it's good to have some fresh blood once in a while, especially if things aren't going well with somebody. You just move on and you deal with it. So now that we've set that precedence, we've set that up for the changing of the guard going into the next album. Let's listen to the last proper song on the album. That is Look at Yourself. It's been a great journey. God, I can't believe we're almost at the end of this one already. But here is Love Machine. I love the sound of this part right here. It's sort of that you're hiding in the back of this giant arena while they're sound checking the equipment and warming up, and then all of a sudden it just comes into clarity, that huge reverb sound that they've got on this. It's not enough to where it sounds like you're in a cave, but it has that sort of arena feel to it, and that bands like this that play in those large arena venues. This is actually just a really cool intro when you think about it that way. But I love this last section, especially because you've got that pounding on the low end, which is just setting the pulse for the song. You know that you're going to get a song that's going to bring us out of that floating on a lily pad feel that we had in What Should Be Done. We're about to get into it, and you feel that build that's coming. Even though we're only listening to the organ, it's got that heavy, distorted grit to it, and we're building up to something exciting. Oh, look, a shuffle. How cool, though, because it really works with this riff and just the way that the song moves forward. It kind of only makes sense to do it as a shuffle. If you did it as straight time, it definitely wouldn't move quite the same. So I really like that they chose a shuffle feel for this. I'm pretty sure I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's a double shuffle. I'm hearing 2 hits on the snare. I can't really tell what the hi-hat's doing, though, because it's mostly accenting with crash cymbals. So we'll be able to figure that out as we go forward. But love the sound of it. Really love the alternating phrases on guitar. I tend to write so straightforward and linear as a composer. And this is the kind of stuff that inspires me to get out of that box and just do more, just put in something different and put in more dynamics. And instead of just, hey, this is fun to play, so I'm just going to keep playing it. I'm sure people will like to listen to my repetitiveness. There's very rarely a moment in Uriah Heep where I felt that that's ever been the case. There's always alternates, always little variations that keep things interesting. Sometimes it's done as a little filler, but I like the alternating sound on guitar here. It works really well, and you can tell we're getting into it now. Here are all the elements that you expect in a Uriah Heep rocker. It's got just a great solid beat to it, energetic drums, energetic bass, great guitar sound, great strong vocal. I mean, it's just everything that you look for in a Heep song. We haven't heard any harmonies at this point, and I can't remember now if the song has them or not. We'll find out, obviously, as we go through the song. But it's just, it's a great rocker, just a great energetic way to end an album. I love those little guitar fills in between the vocal lines. Very cool there. Really energetic drums on this. Probably one of the most adventurous drum tracks on this album. But really cool stuff. Great power. Oh, great bass run at the end of that section right there. But a blistering guitar solo, again, stays within the parameters of the song. I don't get lost in it at all. The drums are grooving. It's just, great little part. And then, of course, we have the organ. You don't really hear the organ so much as you feel it, I think, in this one. It's really keeping things just thickened up and not really... It does kind of move things forward, but it's more just like really thickening up the sound to me anyway. But really cool stuff. Everyone's in unity. Everybody's just like really energetic, ready to be there, recording a great rock and roll tune. I would say that the guitar riff, the rhythm behind it is just like a nice bluesy type thing, up tempo, obviously, but really, really classic there. And they've really built some nice melodies and things around it. It's got a good solid structure to it, this one. Well, an organ swell like that can only mean one thing. But before we get there, I wanted to point out something, because I don't know if any of you guys are in the same boat that I was in this song until I actually sat down with the lyrics, because I always put the lyrics on the website on each individual show episode. There's the lyrics there, and I had to do a double take, because I found out that for the 40 years or so I've been listening to this song, or 35 years, I had the words wrong. I always thought that part was, I don't care because I got tonight, but it's not. It's, I don't care because I've got to know. It's a subtle but important difference if you're following the story of the song. And it just kind of amazes me. You hear something, you make an impression of it, and then you get so used to hearing it after that. You never question it unless you have a specific reason to. And I'm wondering now, I'm kind of nervous about doing Demons and Wizards because I think I know that album pretty well. But what if I don't? What if I have some of those words wrong? That'd be interesting. But we'll see. But in any case, yeah. So if you're thinking along the same lines that I did, the phrase is, I've got to know. Now let's get back to that keyboard solo. What just a hard rocking keyboard solo. I do wish it was a little bit louder in the mix because it's over to the far right, and I'm hearing a lot of heavy guitars on the left that I think overtake it a little bit. But here's the challenge. As an engineer, I can tell you, when you're working with those particular frequencies, especially with a Hammond organ that's got some distortion on it and got that gritty sound to it, when you raise the volume, some of those frequencies become unpleasant to the ear. They kind of, feel like they're stabbing you in the ear a little bit. So you have to be really careful how you lay it in there. You can re-EQ it a little bit and take some of that out, but you're kind of stuck a little bit with that instrument sometimes in certain frequency ranges. At least that's how I feel when I've heard it turned up. So you have to be careful how you go about doing it. And sometimes the EQ that you need to make that work doesn't really work for the sound of the song. Then things sound unbalanced, it throws them off, and then it's even more unpleasant. So sometimes you have to leave them a little bit back in the mix just for that purpose. But overall, it sounds pretty good. It was a great solo. I love those little repeats at the end, just going up and down the keyboard there. Really nice stuff. And then a great, just like we had the swell going into the keyboard solo, now we've got that great buzz roll that's going to take us back into the next verse. Now, if this song had been placed anywhere else on the album, I probably would say that ending doesn't necessarily work as well. But it being the last song on the album, I think it works brilliantly. Most likely, I'm guessing what they did is they used what's called a tape stop effect, where while you're playing the tape back into the when you're bouncing it onto whatever other format. So if you're going from like a 2-inch tape to a 1/4-inch tape. When you're doing the mix down, what you do is you hit stop, but what you're really doing is you're kind of slowing it to a stop instead of just doing a hard stop. So what that does is that takes the audio and it really kind of warbles it as it's slowing down. You're hearing the same sounds, but you're hearing them playing at a decaying speed, and you get that sort of effect for the ending. And of course, I think that stopped right when you stopped hearing the guitar. You heard one quick effect sound, and then it started on that decline, very slow decay. So it's if you picture a reel spinning, and imagine that you hit stop, it's not going to stop. It has to slow to a stop. So it's just going to keep moving, but it's going to slow down. The tape is not going to move as fast, and you're going to get that sort of slowing down effect. It's a really cool thing. It's a great effect to use here and there. I've done it myself once. I find that in the digital world, it's actually harder to do properly than it is in the analog world. And I think they did a great job with it here. It sounds like a very natural progression of slowing down, nothing choppy or anything weird about it, but just very straightforward. But it's a great way to kind of, wrap up all the energy from the song, because this is just a hard driving song. And then you're like, okay, well, the album's almost over, so we gotta chill these people the hell down. and just kind of just take you out of that aggressive feeling equation. So great song overall. I really like it. It's one of those ones that if you just need to kind of get your mojo going, you can put this song on and just, get ready for your day or get ready for your meeting or whatever it is that you're about to have. Vocal content aside, just even speaking from a musical standpoint, it's like one of those songs that can just really get you pumped out. Probably a great workout song, even though it's not that long of a song. It would be good on a workout playlist. Something to just, keep you driving and lifting or pumping or running the Stairmaster or whatever you're going to do. Great energy on this song. Everybody is just playing so well together at this point. I love those little bass runs. And it's just kind of weird that we're done with the proper album now at this point. So we're going to hit those bonus tracks in the next 2 episodes, finishing off your week. If you're listening in real time, if you're listening in any other time, it's just the next 2 episodes. And so thank you guys. I hope that you all are having a wonderful holiday season. I know we're in that week that's sort of kind of transitory for some people, or just, stalled for people between Christmas and New Year's, where they're like, I don't really know what to do. I'm off of work, or I only work a couple of days, or we have short days, and I don't have to rush around and do anything. All the Christmas stuff is done. Some people take their tree down. Some people do that on New Year's. Like, there's so many different variations of what people do, but it's a weird week for a lot of people. So I hope this podcast is helping to get you through the week. I know this is a shorter episode, and but it's a short song, and it just moves so fast. There's not a lot of stopping that I wanted to do. But great job on the album, great job on the song, and really look forward to getting a review in on the bonus tracks. Enjoy, stay safe, and happy holiday week, guys. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, please consider going over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast outlet, leaving a rating or a review. Be sure to subscribe to make sure that you are notified when new episodes are available. Please be sure to share this podcast with your fellow Uriah Heep enthusiasts and anyone who you think would like Uriah Heep, which should be everyone. And if you are so inclined, please feel free to contribute to the Patreon account. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, you can also pay through the PayPal link on the website listed in the show links below. I would also like to thank Uriah Heep for their very generous support of the show. And thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Happy days!